Open Book with Susan Baier, the show where we get to know our local leaders and learn more about the people behind the titles. I'm your host, Susan Baier, the Executive Director of the Allen County Public Library. We're coming to you from Studio A in the main library in beautiful downtown Fort Wayne. I'm so excited to chat with my guests today, and yes, you heard correctly, plural, guests, because for the first time in the history of Open Book, we have not one, not two, but three guests. And I didn't have to look very far to find these guests. I just had to look upstairs in our Genealogy Center. Please welcome to Open Book for a special genealogy and local history themed episode, our Assistant Manager of Genealogy Services, Elizabeth Hodges.
Thank you.
And two of our senior genealogy librarians, Christina Clary.
Hello.
And Kate McKenzie.
Thank you.
Welcome. So Elizabeth, I'm going to start out with you. Our Genealogy Center is literally world famous. Yeah. Can you tell the audience why?
Well, I think what makes the Genealogy Center so special are a couple layers of things. First being, we have a really awesome collection. We have a collection of about 1.34 million physical items, which is pretty massive. We also digitize a lot of materials too, so we digitized somewhere around 5 to 6 million items in itself. But one of the most important things I would say, and I'm probably a little biased, is our staff. My colleagues and I, we really just want to help people find their family stories, whatever that may look like. So regardless of whether or not you've been doing this for 30 years or not at all, we will meet you where you are. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of what makes it special.
Yeah. The collections make it special, but most importantly, the staff makes it special. And speaking of staff, so Kate and Christina and I have something in common in that we all spent time working in Kentucky public libraries. Yep. Christina, what drew you to genealogy and special collections work within public libraries?
Well, I've always loved history, even as a kid, and I grew up hearing stories from my mother, the family stories that she grew up with. She comes from a very kind of old Southern family, so it's kind of all of those stories. And I think if you ask all of us in the Genealogy Center, we all kind of grew up with that same background of hearing family stories and that sort of thing. And I also have always loved doing research. In college, I loved doing the research for the papers, not necessarily the writing of the papers, but that's kind of what we do, is we're doing the research all the time, and that's what drew me to it.
Kate, what about you?
I was drawn to genealogy and special collections because I really enjoyed researching my own family history and filling in some of the blanks about the towns and countries that my ancestors came from. And knowing how exciting that is makes me want to help others make the same discoveries, fill in some of the blanks that they might have about their families, or answering some of those questions and mysteries that there might be. So,
do any of you have special niche areas within genealogy that you really enjoy researching, that you have particular expertise in?
I mean, we all have our own special one. I do Kentucky genealogy, and I've also recently, I do Portuguese genealogy now.
Oh, okay.
So those are kind of my two ones for the moment.
Those are very different ones, I would imagine.
It's very wide-ranging for what we know.
But that speaks to the depth and breadth of our collection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I specialize in Louisiana genealogy because that's where I'm originally from. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from the New Orleans area. Connected to that, African American genealogy in Louisiana specifically, because it's its own special thing to research, and also Irish genealogy. Not connected.
What about you, Kate?
Being from Cincinnati, I have a lot of ancestors from Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, that area. So I've done a lot of research there, and I also have some Ukrainian ancestry. So it's a challenge, but it's a fun challenge and something that I really enjoy researching. So
when I want to blow people's minds, I tell them that we have a genealogy librarian, your colleague John, who specializes in witchcraft genealogy.
Yeah.
Which he's done some work for my family, and spoiler alert, I actually connect back to an executed witch.
It's pretty cool.
Times. Yeah. So on that note, because I have a question. What does a typical workday look like for you? But with all these topics we've talked about, there isn't a lot of typical, is there?
Not at all. Not
What's
at
an
all.
atypical workday look like for you then?
I don't know.
I mean, we come in, we rotate at the desks. Every hour we go out and see if someone needs to take a break from the desk. And so we spend most of our time either on the desk helping patrons, doing pop-up consultations. And that's when someone just comes up to the desk and is like, I need help. And then sometimes we'll go in the back and kind of work on projects, any research that we're doing, prepare programs and that sort of thing. So that's about as, I think,
Basic.
basic a schedule of what we do in a day.
We also have the scheduled consultations, which Kate is in charge of scheduling for all of us.
Great opportunity to learn too, because we get lots of different questions that come to us. So while we all have our areas of specialty, we get some topics that we might not know about. So maybe somebody's working on Puerto Rican genealogy, or they have some ancestry in Spain. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to learn about researching within areas that we might not otherwise know about. So good opportunities to learn and grow.
So is it fair to say you truly learn something new every day?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Has there been anything that has surprised you about this job?
One thing that does surprise me is I feel like we're seeing more and more younger people be interested in genealogy. I mean, I've helped some patrons a couple months ago that were, I think they were like 10 to 12, and they were fascinated with the microfilm. I got
Oh my
them on
gosh.
the microfilm machines, and they loved it so much. And I feel like we see a lot more of the younger generation than you would expect, because typically you think of genealogy and you think of older generations.
That's really great to hear. Do you think that they are being introduced to it by their grandparents or great-grandparents, or how are they coming to it, do you think?
Yeah, usually it's through another family member.
I helped a patron, I want to say it was on Monday, who was a former student at Wayne New Tech, and they bring in some classes every year to do projects. There's one that they do that's a genealogy project, another one that's just a local history project where they get into groups and research Fort Wayne businesses, which is pretty cool. And he came back because I think at maybe a garage sale or something, got these World War I medals and a photograph of the person. And he, at home, researched as much as he could about this person, and he had a lot of information: this person's name, dates of service, when he died, when he was born, but he wanted to learn more. So being able to see that kid come back and then tell me, oh yeah, when I start college next year, I'm going to be a history major.
Oh my goodness.
Nearly made me cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your consultation services that you offer. We've talked about just people popping in the Genealogy Center and helping them. But another huge part of what you all do is programming. Genealogy loves to put on programs, both in person and virtual. Some of your virtual programs can have hundreds of attendees from literally all over the world. Can you tell me about some of the programs that you've done and some of your favorites that you've done?
So with our programs, we do offer 2 virtual programs a week. So one's on Tuesday afternoons and the other one is on Thursday evenings. So along with Genealogy Center staff and librarians, we're fortunate to be able to have speakers from across the country and sometimes around the world as well. So we try to engage with a large variety of topics. Sometimes it might be about DNA or property research within court records. And then other times it might focus on research within a specific country like France or Germany or Mexico or wherever it might be. So we really appreciate being able to bring a lot of variety there. And I think for me personally, my favorite program that I've worked on is a program that I presented about Ukrainian genealogy. That's something that I really enjoy. So it was fun to be able to put that together and show some resources that might not be as widely known or used, and engage with attendees that share a similar heritage or might just be getting started in researching their Eastern European heritage.
I believe that you've done a program where you've led cemetery tours.
Yes. So my colleague Allison Singleton, she has given a couple of programs in Lindenwood Cemetery. You did a virtual Lindenwood Cemetery thing, right, Kate?
Yes.
Yeah.
We offered that during Family History Month, so we'll be doing something similar this year as well.
Yep. I have done neighborhood walking tours as well.
People love old houses.
People love old houses.
Yep.
Yeah. So some of my favorite programs are, those neighborhood walking tours, and I do give a presentation on how to research your home, because we get a lot of people coming in saying, "I think my house is haunted. How do I figure this out?" I'm like, "Well, do the genealogy of the house." But it probably is if you're asking.
If you have to ask, it probably is.
Yeah.
Good rule of thumb. So I'd love to hear from each of you on this. And this may be asking, like, if you have a favorite child or something, but do you have a favorite book or database in the collection?
It's really hard to pick just one,
Yeah.
but I think I would pick some of our newspaper databases. Those, I think, really can add color to your family history research, whether it's an obituary or just a tidbit that you might find about what your ancestors were up to. Newspapers were like the Facebook of the day, so sometimes you'll see in a society column about your ancestors going to visit other friends or family members. So learning what they were up to and what they were doing day to day is fun. So newspapers, I think, newspaper databases are my favorite.
I love that because I grew up in a very small town, and you're absolutely right. The newspaper was the Facebook of the day, and the detail these articles would get into about who went calling on whom and what they wore. Like, you just don't see that anymore, and it's just such a slice of life, and it really adds that color and context to your family histories. Or like wedding announcements back in the day, they were like how many inches long? Like, they got into so many details about what grandma wore, and I love that stuff. What about you, Christina? Yeah.
Well, for our databases, I think Percy, our periodical source index, because those periodicals are really good for fleshing out family trees.
Big shout out to Percy.
Yeah.
Tell people what that is. I think people might not know.
Yeah, so it's an index for periodicals and newsletters, and these are kind of like the quarterlies that are put out by genealogical and historical societies, and they're done by people who are local to that community, and so you're getting a lot of community knowledge into those periodicals. So they're really good resources for getting kind of the stories of families, not just the dates and places of people. Our index now has over 3.2 million entries in it, so you can find something on everything in our Percy index. And you can search it by surname and topic as well. So
It's an incredible resource.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy Percy as well, but if I had to pick a different one, probably our database, Our Military Heritage. So it is one that we created here at the library, and people have brought in and donated or loaned us materials relating to their family members' service. Sometimes that's photographs, sometimes it's discharge papers, sometimes it's letters. I myself had some V-mail that my grandfather's brother sent to him when he was in North Africa during World War II. A lot of it was complaining about missing the World Series.
Oh my gosh.
But we have it for every military conflict, starting from the Revolution to, I want to say, like more recent conflicts in the Middle East. But it's pretty cool, and it's continuously growing. So I really enjoy that one.
So I'm going to take a bit of host privilege and share what my favorite resources are in the Genealogy Center, and I am quite biased because both of them involve my own personal history. But the Genealogy Center subscribes to the preeminent local history magazine of Waltonville, Illinois. It's also the only history magazine in Waltonville, Illinois, but it is amazing. It's called The Prairie Historian. It's been around for a long, long time. My grandmother was on the board of it back in the day. It goes on to this day. It covers the history of my little town in southern Illinois of 400 people. And every issue, I find my family in it because it's that kind of town, right? So if we ever get homesick or miss Southern Illinois or miss some family, I can just walk over to the Genealogy Center, pluck out some copies of the Prairie Historian, and be brought right back to my hometown. And the other resource that I'm just delighted that is included is something that I actually donated when my father passed away. He had several historical books in his possession, so he had an annual guide to the Cesar Homecoming. So the Cesar Homecoming was an annual festival that was a core part of my childhood. This is the kind of place that, you know, you get the funnel cake and the sweet corn and you get sick on a roller coaster, like that sort of like core Midwest childhood. And the town was about 15 minutes from where I grew up. Population 3,000, truly like the social event of the summer. And I didn't even know my dad had this, but he had a book that was made about the history of the homecoming, and it listed like all the queens over the years and all the entertainment and, you know, how many pounds of sweet corn they cooked every year. And it was just delightful. And I thought, this needs to be in the Genealogy Center of the Allen County Public Library, because it just paints a picture, you know, just such a slice of life, color of life. And I gave it to the staff, and it's now on the shelf there, and it just delights me. And it also just gives me a lot of comfort knowing that something that my dad had is now part of the collection in the library that I work in. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So something I hear pretty often when I'm out and about and I talk about being in the library is, oh, you have that amazing genealogy center. I really want to research my family tree, but gosh, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to begin. Can somebody help me?
So we would kind of recommend getting started by writing down what you know about your parents and grandparents, maybe where they were born, when they were born, where they lived. And then if you're able, talking to family members like aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, if you're able to get some of those extra facts and tidbits that might help you as you get started. And then you're welcome to come into the Genealogy Center anytime we're open. You can pop in, and any of the librarians will be glad to help you get started.
So they shouldn't be intimidated, even if they've never done anything?
No.
Okay.
I was gonna just add, so we have these like 5-generation charts. We print hundreds of them. I think of it kind of like those worksheets you would do in elementary school. More fun, less pictures, you don't get a grade for it. But I'm a very visual person. If I can fill out what I know, I have a good visual of what I don't know. And that's okay. It just means there's more to find.
So, as you all know, some people travel for a mile to get here. Some people travel for thousands of miles. For some people, this is truly a bucket list moment to come to the Genealogy Center to do research. If someone is planning a trip, what are some things that they can do in advance to maximize the time that they have here?
I think one thing is organize and prepare before you come. So if you've already done some genealogy, pick out a couple of brick walls that maybe you want to work on, or maybe a family line that you want to work on. So that way you already have some goals ahead of time before you come in. A lot of people, when they come in, are overwhelmed. They just kind of stand there and they're like, I didn't realize this was this big. And you have so much stuff, and I think kind of already having plan of what you want to look at can kind of help orient you some while you kind of get used to the size and all that. So
yeah, trying to do too much, you will end up leaving having not really done as much as you really wanted. So organizing, maybe searching in the catalog.
Jumping off of that, as you search in the catalog, you have the ability to add items to a list, and something new that we have is a genealogy card, which it gives you the ability to log into our computers when you're here and to add money to the card to make prints and copies, but it also gives you the ability to log in and to save that list, and you can print it out or email it to yourself. But it's a great way to kind of organize your thoughts, what books or microfilm you might want to view while you're here, and just kind of having that information organized helps maybe keep you focused when you're here researching.
Good tips. Do you see a mix of locals and visitors in the Genealogy Center, a mix of professionals and newbies?
Yes.
Yeah.
All of the above.
All the above?
Yeah. We get people from all walks of life come in, for sure.
A lot of the locals, too, don't realize that we're here.
Yeah.
They come in, they say, I didn't know that this place existed, and I've lived here my whole life. And so we get that a lot as well.
So Kurt Witcher, your boss, the director of special collections, he likes to talk about happy tears moments, which are moments in the Genealogy Center that are just so overwhelming and emotional to the patron that they cry happy tears. Now, being respectful of privacy, are there any happy tears moments that come to mind for you?
I just had one like an hour ago.
Oh my gosh, late breaking news.
Yeah, I was helping some patrons, and I found military records, World War I military records, and they just kind of started crying when they see it. And it's a lot of times they're so taken aback, they don't realize, they're surprised that they've started crying, because a lot of people don't quite realize how emotional it can get, and just they're not quite prepared of seeing something unexpected with their family name, and it can kind of overwhelm them sometimes. So
I've helped a number of people try to do African American research, and I've had multiple tears. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're necessarily happy or sad, just more like, I'm glad I know. And it was the people I'm thinking of in particular figured out like the names of their enslaved ancestors, or the names of the people that enslaved them. It's just such an emotional and powerful thing. It can kind of overwhelm people. Yeah, for sure.
Have you had those moments too, Kate?
I have. I was working with a patron who was adopted, and she had some information, some dates and some other non-identifying information, and was looking for her biological family. So I was able to, with that information, able to help puzzle it out a little bit and identify her biological brother and mother, and seeing the impact that had. It was emotional for the patron, but it was rewarding to see that I was able to help and contribute something positive.
Playing a huge part in their lives. You helped a few months ago a visitor who was here representing a major technological company, and you did some genealogy research for her, and I talked to her recently, and she actually brought the binder you helped prepare to her family's Seder. And how amazing is that what you helped research and prepare was part of their holiday celebration.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So among the visits and the people who make appointments and the programs, on top of all of that, you also are part of the team that prepare for genealogy conferences. So we have conferences that come in, some local, some state, some international. They are coming to Fort Wayne because of the reputation of our Genealogy Center, and our genealogy team is part of the people who make these conferences happen, right? Can you tell me what work goes into hosting a conference?
I would say first being just asking what is probably a really pedestrian question: what do you need? Because as hosts, we want to try to help them make it as successful as possible. It is their conference. We just want to facilitate. So that could be anything from we need help getting people to stuff bags to give out to attendees, or volunteers to monitor, sessions or workshops. We will oftentimes have extended hours at the main library, so people can come in to the genealogy department either early in the morning or late at night to get the early morning people and the night owls.
Maximize that time.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when we do that, that means that it's all hands on deck. All the librarians, our genealogy assistants, our colleagues who work in the genealogy materials handling unit, everybody steps up to help make it successful in some way.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously the work is highly concentrated in the Genealogy Center, but also our security staff helps, and our IT staff helps, and marketing. So it's really great how we all come together. And I also should share that we get tremendous support and partnership through Visit Fort Wayne and the Grand Wayne Center. We work very well with them to pull off some really incredible events.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think, without them.
It is definitely a team effort.
Yeah.
So this collection has millions of items, and a lot of them, you're not going to go to Barnes & Noble and buy it. You're not going to even find it on Amazon. They are highly unique items, and many of them have been donated over the years. So how can family history researchers help build our collection to where others can benefit from it as well?
Donations are definitely important to the growth of our collection. We accept both physical donations and electronic donations. So if somebody has a family history that they've written, we always appreciate adding those to our collection. Or I know Elizabeth mentioned our military heritage database, so diaries, photographs, anything like that, just as an example, are all great items to add to our collection.
And with donations too, anytime we can get permission to put things online, so that way anyone can access from anywhere in the world, that is something that we really try and look for as well.
Yeah, scanning, digitizing, that is like such a big thing, because it means that, especially for people who are donating their research material, so it's not necessarily that they wrote a book, but they might give us a binder or a few binders or a filing cabinet full of material that they gathered over the years on their family. Being able to digitize it and make sure that more people across the world can actually access and benefit from their research is so amazing. We just try to organize it, because you are an expert in your own family's story. So the better organized it is, the better it is for everybody.
Speaking of digitization, can you talk about the community album and how that has exploded over the years?
Yeah, so I want to say in 2021 or 2022, I was asked to kind of take over managing the community album because a former colleague had left who used to do that. And since then, I've added these two lovely colleagues to that team, because we started getting more and more stuff to put into the community album, more than one person could possibly do. But that means that we've been able to add a number of really great collections that I feel like the community album should reflect the community. So we've added things that would reflect the Hispanic community. I know the Warfield Diaries were added a few years ago. Just more things that I hope are just a better reflection. And we're going to keep doing that because the work never ends.
Do you have a favorite part of the community album? Favorite collection?
I like the Mullering family album. It was one of our colleagues, John, I think he knew someone who found I think it was boxes of old family photographs of someone who collected photographs of their family that had been here in Fort Wayne since the 1800s. And it was a German family, and most of them were not labeled, but we were able to figure out who a lot of them were. I used yearbooks, especially were helpful for comparing, to try and figure out who all the babies were, because there were a lot of pictures of babies. So I really enjoyed putting that one together and researching that one.
In that collection too, there was some autograph books that belonged to one of the female family members. The things these teenage boys in like 1899 would write in this thing were hysterical. We're just so snarky and sarcastic. It's just kind of a window into time. So yeah, that is a fun one. I'd say I really like the Warfield Diaries, just because it's a really interesting kind of view into what the African American community was like in Fort Wayne, because this was somebody who was super connected, really interesting guy. If you're interested in the collection, definitely take a look at it. I also have a collection of stuff for my neighborhood. I live in a historic neighborhood, so people keep leaving photographs and title abstracts on my front porch to bring to work. So it's kind of nice to see them like in a place, in a home, and not in people's basements.
Occupational hazard, I guess. That's funny.
Yeah.
For me, I think my favorite is our Bill Blass collection. Bill Blass is a designer fashion designer that was from Fort Wayne. So that collection has a kind of a wide range of materials, from photographs that depict his time in the Army to drawings of designs that he had, and interviews of people that worked with him. I think it's just a fun collection, so I enjoy perusing that one.
As a huge music and concert lover, I love the Doc West collection.
Yeah.
Do you want to share what that is?
So Doc West is a radio personality here in Fort Wayne. The photographs in that collection, he took some really awesome concert photographs. What is the earliest one? Late 60s?
Yeah, they were mostly, I think, from like 66 or 67 up through maybe 72 or 73.
Heyday of rock. I'm dating myself, but
yeah. But it's not just like the pictures of like the bands, which is like he saw some cool bands, but also the crowds. Because I mean, these are all concerts. Most of them were, I want to say, in Ohio. Does that sound
I think
right
he
to
went
you?
to every concert in Ohio during that time.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he was living in Ohio at the time, but I mean, he went to a ton of concerts. But it's interesting to see, like, okay, how are people in the Midwest like rocking out in that time frame? It's kind of cool.
And I trust that they rocked out.
Oh, they did.
The ones I've seen in that collection, yes, they were having a good time.
Yeah.
Well, our final question is a segment we like to call here on Open Book, the tail end with Toonses. So I will explain, but I think you probably already know because you've worked with me long enough. Toonses is my very spoiled, very opinionated cat. And he couldn't come to the studio today, but he did want me to ask you a question, and I'd love to hear from all of you what your thoughts are on this. If someone is traveling to Fort Wayne to visit the Genealogy Center, which they do all the time, outside of the Genealogy Center, which is, of course, the main event, what one other thing would you recommend they do? Either visit, eat, shop? What would be your tip?
I would say if they're coming in the summer months, to try to catch a baseball game at Parkview Field, the Fort Wayne Tin Caps play. So hopefully you'll see a win and maybe some fireworks, but that's what I would say.
I would say the zoo, the Fort Wayne's Children's Zoo. You can actually, like, the kids can feed the giraffes there. That's like a thing there, which I think is pretty cool. So
It's a great zoo, and pro tip, you don't even have to have kids to enjoy it, because my husband and I have gone by ourselves, have a great time.
I was going to say the zoo as well, but if I had to choose something other than the zoo, we have some really great parks in Fort Wayne. I love along the rivers. That was something that when I first moved here, I was really impressed by, which all the green space. Yeah, you can maybe see parks other places, but our parks are really nice. So if you're needing a break from the screens or the books from researching, taking a nice walk in the park, the weather's nice, I'd say is a good way to fill your time.
And if you need some sugar, run by Cookie Cottage.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for being here. This was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. I work here, and I learned a lot, and I think our viewers would as well. And we encourage everybody to come out and visit the Genealogy Center. No matter where you are on your family history journey, there's a place for you at the Genealogy Center. And we have a team of staff who are ready and willing and excited to help.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Open Book with Susan Baier. Until next time, keep turning those pages.
Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne. Learn more under the Services tab at acpl.info.